Okay, now let's proceed to sweet and viscid solutions. Okay, now first let's talk about syrups. Okay, syrups are concentrated, viscous, aqueous solutions that contain sugar, usually sucrose, or a sugar substitute with or without added flavors and medicinal substances. Okay, kung mingon tag syrup mao ni mga tamis ug medyo lapot nga liquid. I know familiar na mo ani. Either tambal siya kung naa siya active ingredient or vehicle lang kung pang flavoring ra ba siya or pangpahumot lang siya. Okay, syrup NF. So, NF means National Formulary. Okay, concentration niya 85% weight over volume, meaning 85 gram sugar per 100 ml solution or 65% weight over weight. Specific gravity 1.313. This means very concentrated yud ang sugar content. Mao bitaw nga viscous ug dili dali madaot siya if naay microbial growth. Okay? And then however, if less concentrated, prone to fermentation or contamination. Okay, again, this means very concentrated yun ang sugar content. Okay? Mao nga viscous kayo siya ug dili siya madali madaot if ever na ay microbial growth. Okay? Now, let's go to the uses of syrup. So first, diluting agent for water-soluble drugs. For example, to prepare flavored or pediatric formulations. And then second, solvent and flavoring agent. It improves taste, making the medication more palatable, especially for children. And then types of syrups. We have the medicated syrup. It contains active pharmaceutical ingredients plus syrup base used for therapeutic purposes. Let's say for example, paracetamol syrup and diphenhydramine syrup. So kung naitambal sa sulod, if naitambal sa sulod, that's medicated. Mao ni ang mga syrup nga gi-take sa patient para sa ilang mga sakit. And the non-medicated syrup, the flavored vehicle. Okay, it contains flavoring agents only, no drug. It is used as a vehicle or base for extemporaneous compounding. For example, cherry syrup, raspberry syrup, or simple syrups. Okay, again, ang non-medicated syrup kay pang vehicle lang sila, meaning pang base sa preparation. Okay, important notes to remember. Store syrups in tight, light-resistant containers. Avoid high temperature. It can cause crystallization. And then, if crystallization occurs, gently warm and stir until dissolved again. And then preservatives like benzoic acid or sodium benzoate may be added to prevent microbial growth. Okay, there are several types of syrup, each with unique characteristics and applications depending on the drug they carry. For example, first the acacia syrup, which has a slightly urea-like taste. This type of syrup is often used to mask certain unpleasant flavors in drugs, while also serving as a gentle demulcent or it soothes irritation in the throat. Okay, on the other hand, aromatic erudiction syrup is used specifically to mask the bitter taste of alkaloids. The extract from the erudiction plant acts as a bitter masking agent, making otherwise unpleasant medicines easier to swallow. Okay, similarly, cocoa syrup, which naturally has a bitter taste, can also help in masking the bitterness of certain medications and is frequently used in pediatric formulation for this reason. Okay, and then for medicines with sour or salty properties, raspberry syrup is a good choice. Its sour and slightly salty flavor effectively disguises the taste of metal, salts, or acidic drugs. Meanwhile, sarsaparilla syrup is useful for oily tasting medicines because it complements the oil like character of some herbal or resinous drugs. And then fruit syrups, which are naturally sour and are widely used as flavoring vehicles, particularly in pediatric formulations. They are effective in masking bitter or salty drugs and are making them more palatable. Next, we have the glycyrrhiza syrup, which has a liquorized flavor. Okay, again, glycerisa syrup, which has a licorice flavor, serves as a vehicle for saline substances and other colloidal preparations. Its natural sweetness makes it suitable for medicines that might otherwise taste harsh or unappealing. And then lastly, cinnamon syrup, with its sweet and spicy flavor, is ideal for salty drugs like ammonium chloride or sodium salicylates. The strong taste of cinnamon is particularly effective in masking very unpleasant flavor that other syrups cannot completely cover. In summary, the choice of syrup depends on several factors. First, the taste and the properties of the drug. Next, its stability, then solubility, and the target patient population. Syrups not only improve patient compliance by making medicines more palatable, but also sometimes contribute to the therapeutic benefits themselves, like soothing or mild expectorant effects. Okay, let's proceed to the methods of preparation. When it comes to preparing syrups, there are main methods, which are the agitation with heat and the agitation without heat. The method chosen depends largely on the stability of the constituents and their sensitivity to heat. First, agitation with heat. This is often called the rapid method because it allows the sugar to dissolve quickly. In this method, purified water is heated to around 80 to 85 degrees Celsius and the sugar or syrup base is gradually added while stirring. This method is suitable for drugs or flavoring agents that are stable at high temperatures and not volatile, meaning they won't evaporate easily. However, one important drawback of using heat is sugar inversion. This occurs when sucrose breaks down into glucose and fructose due to high temperatures. Sugar inversion can lead to changes in sweetness, viscosity, and even stability of the syrup. Therefore, while this method is faster, it is not suitable for heat-sensitive drugs. And then second, agitation without heat. For drugs or constituents that are heat sensitive or volatile. Okay, again, it is for drugs that are heat sensitive or volatile. Agitation without heat is preferred. In this method, the sugar is dissolved by stirring at room temperature. Although this method is slower compared to heating, it ensures that delicate or unstable components are not degraded or lost. Again, it ensures that delicate or unstable components are not degraded or lost. This is particularly important for volatile flavoring agents or certain herbal extracts that can be destroyed or evaporated by heat. Okay, key takeaways for this heat method. The fast but risk of sugar inversion, used only for heat stable constituents, and then the non heat method, slower but safe for heat sensitive or volatile ingredients. Apart from agitation with or without heat, syrups can also be prepared using reconstitution or percolation methods. Okay, in the reconstitution method, sugar is added to medicated liquids rather than starting from plain water. This method is commonly used with fluid extracts or tinctures, which already contain the active drug dissolved in alcohol or other solvents. By adding sugar directly to these medicated solutions, we can create a palatable syrup without exposing the active constituents to heat, which could degrade them. This method is especially useful for alcohol-based extracts, where heating might cause evaporation or volatile compounds. And the next, last percolation. The percolation method involves passing water or another suitable solvent through a bed of crystalline sucrose. Especially, the solvent dissolves the sugar as it moves through the bed, forming a syrup. This method is less common in small scale preparation but can be used for large scale production of syrups. It allows for a controlled and gradual extraction of sugar, ensuring uniform consistency and concentration. Again, for the summary of syrup preparation methods, agitation with heat, fast, for heat stable constituents, risk of sugar inversion, and then agitation without heat, slower siya, safe for heat sensitive or volatile drugs, and then for reconstitution, sugar added to already medicated liquids, avoids heat and degradation, and then percolation, solvent passes through crystalline sugar bed, used for controlled large-scale syrup preparation. Okay, apart from syrups, there are other sweet and viscid solutions that are used as liquid dosage forms. Okay, one example we have here, honey. Honey is a thick, sweet liquid that is similar to syrups, but the main difference is that honey itself is used as the base instead of sugar syrup. Because of its natural sweetness and viscosity, honey can be used as a vehicle for medicinal substances, making them easier to take. It's often used in cough remedies or herbal preparations. And then next, the mucilage. Okay, mucilage refers to thick, sticky liquids that are usually made by dispersing natural gums in water or by extracting mucilaginous substances from plants. These liquids are adhesive and viscid, which can help coat the throat or act as a protective layer in certain formulations. Common examples include acacia mucilage, made from gum acacia, and then tragacanth mucilage, made from gum tragacanth. And an important note to remember, both honey and mucilage are prone to decomposition, meaning they can spoil or ferment if stored too long. For this reason, they should not be prepared in large quantities unless a preservative is added, or they should be used immediately after preparation. Moving on from syrups, honey, and mucilage, we now look at other sweetened liquid dosage forms that contain alcohol, the elixirs and the spirits. Elixirs are clear, sweetened hydroalcoholic solutions intended for oral use. They are usually flavored to make them more palatable, especially when the active drug has an unpleasant taste. The alcohol content in elixirs typically ranges from 5% to 40%. If the alcohol content is more than 10%, the elixir can be considered self-preserving. Okay, again, if the alcohol content is more than 10%, the elixir can be considered self-preserving, meaning it resists microbial growth without the need for additional preservatives. Elixirs are commonly used for drugs that dissolved poorly in water alone because the combination of alcohol and water improves solubility and stability. Next, the spirits or the essences. Spirits, also called essences, are alcoholic or hydroalcoholic solutions that contain volatile substances. Unlike elixirs, they have high alcohol content, usually greater than 60%, which makes them excellent solvents for volatile oils and aromatic compounds. Spirits are often used for flavoring or medicinal purposes because of the high alcohol content. They are self-preserving and stable at room temperature. Now let's proceed to the methods of preparation. Both elixirs and spirits can be prepared using several methods depending on the solubility of the active substance and the type of solution desired. First, the simple solution, dissolving the solute directly into the alcohol water mixture. Again, directly in the alcohol water mixture. And then second, maceration, soaking the drug or flavoring agent in alcohol or hydroalcoholic solution to extract the active constituents. Again, maceration, soaking the drug. And then, third, chemical reaction, forming the desired compound directly in the solution. And then the fourth, distillation, separating volatile constituents by heating and condensing, often used for spirits containing essential oils. Okay, another important group of hydroalcoholic solutions, kaysa tinctures. Okay, tinctures are alcoholic or hydroalcoholic solutions prepared from vegetable materials like plant extracts or chemical substances. They are widely used when the active ingredient is poorly soluble in water alone but soluble in alcohol, or when a stable concentrated preparation is desired. The alcohol content in tinctures usually ranges from 15% to 80%, depending on the nature of the material being extracted. The active pharmaceutical ingredient, or the API, typically makes up about 10% of the final solution. Because of their alcohol content, tinctures are usually self-preserving, meaning they do not require additional preservatives. They are clear, concentrated, and often used as medicinal extracts that can be diluted or taken as is. And then methods of preparation. Tinctures are prepared using two main methods, the process M, or the maceration. In maceration, the plant material or chemical substances is soaked in the alcohol or hydroalcoholic solution for a specific period. Okay, gisook siya. And then the active constituents gradually diffuse into the solvent, creating the tincture. This method is suitable for delicate materials that may be affected by heat. And then second, the process P, or the percolation. In percolation, the solvent is passed through a bed of powdered drug in a controlled manner. This method is faster than maceration and is commonly used for large-scale production of tinctures, and then it ensures efficient extraction of the active constituents. In short, tinctures are concentrated alcoholic or hydroalcoholic solutions of plant or chemical substances with flexible alcohol content depending on solubility and stability. They are prepared either by soaking or through maceration or passing solvent through the drug or percolation, and they serve as a convenient, stable forms of medicinal extracts.